this week's Cruise Chat. I'm Kathleen Penner, owner of Plenty of Sunshine Travel, and today I am joined by Oceania Cruises, and I am meeting with Guillaume. And I've had the distinct pleasure of meeting with him several times. I have a playlist of Oceania Cruises, so make sure when you're done watching this video that you go back and you look at those ones because there's some amazing content in there. But today we're going to be covering some neat itineraries and just talking about cruising. So over to you.
Thanks so much, Kathleen, and yeah, it's great to be back. I feel like it's a regular segment on the show now, so I'm so glad to be joining.
Yes, and we're up to like 100. I think we're 117 is our episode number. So it's awesome that I get to meet with you guys all the time, and I appreciate you taking the time.
Fantastic. Yeah, and it was a really exciting day for us yesterday. We actually just did the christening of the Oceania Vista.
Yes.
So it was a very star-studded event. You know, we had actually it was you know, it was twofold in that we had obviously the christening of the Vista. So, you know, there was all the fanfare that had surrounded that. But additionally to that, it was Frank Del Rio, who is the original founder of Oceania Cruises, was actually and is now president and CEO of Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings, which is the overall arching umbrella of Oceania Cruises. His son, Frank Del Rio Jr., is going to be taking over the helms and being president of Oceania Cruises. So it was a great twofold event in that we had the spectacular that was the christening of the Oceania Vista, but then we also had the handing off. So, you know, there was a lot of tears. It was actually super funny. You know, Frank's a really funny guy. So he was saying that everybody was having hankies and handkerchiefs to kind of wipe up the tears. He goes on stage and he actually has a huge towel and he's like, "This is what I need for tonight," because it was such an emotional event.
Wow.
It was super well done. You know, we had Harry Connick Jr. We were showcasing our new entertainment on board, which we had Dancing with the Stars. We have a spin-off of that, which is going to be fantastic. So we had a little bit of highlights in that. And then we had our newest godmother, Gadia from the Food Network, Gadia de Laurentiis, who is like renowned for all her cuisine, which was you know, a really good kind of synergy with Oceania Cruises because we're so famous for cuisine. So
food, yes,
it was such the event. It was fantastic. You know, it was a big long kind of showcase. Like they had like this mini amphitheater that they'd created. So super well done.
Absolutely. Now that was in New York, right? They did the christening.
No, we were doing the christening over in Malta. So Vista will be heading to New York after the summer. So she was built in an Italian shipyard, Finticari, if I believe that's the name, if it's pronounced correctly. So the interesting fact I found myself, because I'm a little bit of a ship geek, is that she was actually going out for sea trials about 14 months ago. And then we put her back into dry dock and we pretty much spent over a year just fitting the interior of the ship. So we brought on like artisan craftsmen to make sure that, you know, every single iota of that ship is just it just looks absolutely fantastic. The design elements that we have on board, you know, there was really no expense spared. I'm sure there's probably some mountain missing in Italy because of the amount of marble that we've put on into the ship itself. But again, the design elements are really interesting for us. It's our very first all veranda ship itself. So on other ships, we have inside and ocean views. But with this, we actually can now dedicate more space to the interior. We can dedicate more space for the guest and crew ratios on board. So, you know, not only is it going to look fantastic, it's going to have that fantastic level of service that's renowned for Oceania, but it's going to get stepped up yet another level again. So, yeah, really exciting times with the new ship.
Yeah, that's great. I was invited to the inaugural in New York, and that's why I was like, because I knew I wasn't able to go because
Yeah.
one night, but I lost track of the date. So I thought it was this past week.
Yep, flipping around. Yeah, so it will
Yeah.
be. So essentially, what it's going to be doing is going to be heading over to. It'll be doing a little bit of Europe to start off
Mhm.
with. It'll then head over to New York.
Mhm.
It'll actually head up to Montreal. I'll do a little Canada, New England sailing in there.
Yeah.
I'll head down to Miami where we'll do a little bit more glitz and glam there for the media. And then I'll go through the Panama Canal and up into LA. And then essentially that'll kind of conclude its inaugural season.
Mhm.
But having said that, we've got further sailings into 2024 and some pushing out to 2025 for her. So yeah, it's the kind of all go for the Oceania Vista.
Oh, that's great. I love that. And it looks so gorgeous, like even looking at that. And I watched a little of the inaugural yesterday or the naming ceremony or whatever it was that I watched yesterday. And it was phenomenal to watch. It was incredible. And it was so nice
Yeah,
to see
it
it.
was a show unto itself, and then yeah, I mean it's really exciting times to have. It's the first newest vessel that we've had in almost 10 years. Although having said that, we have our beautiful Oceania class, which includes the Marina and the Riviera, which were custom designed for us 10 years ago. So it's lovely to be introducing this new ship to the fleet. However, we've got still some absolutely fantastic vessels that are still within the fleet itself. So it's evolving as ever. So it's fantastic that way too.
Yeah, oh, phenomenal. Yeah, I love how, even though it's 10 years old, it's always refurbished and always kept up so beautiful. And
Yeah,
I'm excited
absolutely. And I
to see
mean,
it.
the Riviera just went through a complete refurb in December of this year, just this year past.
Okay.
And the Marina itself, she'll be going in for a complete refurb next year. So even though it's a ship that's 10 years old,
Mhm.
she's going all the way down to the studs. Again, we're just going to be completely redesigning the interiors of the ship.
Yeah. When you
So
say
that it'll
complete, you mean complete. Oh, goodness.
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. I mean,
Wow.
there's no mucking about when it comes to doing these full renos on the ship. So it's gonna. One of the design elements that we were trying to bring to the ship as well. We have a kind of philosophy at Oceania called Kaizen, which is slow and gradual improvement. However, when it comes to these renos, these are almost complete overhauls, and one of the sayings that we see is that we bring it out better than new. So
Mm.
it's great in that, some of the ships that we have in our fleet, they're simply not going to make those types of ships anymore. So it's nice when we use the modern technologies and
Mhm.
bring it back to some of these vessels that have a footprint that new ships are not going to be designed around.
Mhm.
And just to see how those elements fit into those ships themselves. That's kind of one of the pillars and cornerstones of Oceania is that really the design elements around our ships. We want to have them what we call a comfortable residential design.
Mhm.
So a lot of the ships themselves, you want to think of them as kind of boutique hotels at sea, where essentially you as a guest, when you get on board, you have that kind of homecoming feel to the ship itself. You're not going on to like some place that has 3,000 chairs bought from exactly the same place, so
Right.
we get a bulk discount on those. No, we're trying to individualize the items on board to give it that sense of home for the guests to come back to essentially just recharge. We really do base our itineraries a little bit off the beaten path, and get you to really discover those new places to go. And once you get back on board, you recharge, you have an excellent meal, you have excellent service, and then you're kind of ready and set to go the following day.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. And I like that too, because a lot of times, some of the ports that we do end up going to are very North Americanized. And yet you're going to the ones that, don't see a lot of tourists and a lot of cruise ships going. So they're local, they have that authentic
Yes.
realness to them. And I love that.
Yeah, we really do
Mhm.
try and immerse the guests into the destination.
Mhm.
Not only is it going off those beaten path types of ports that you're mentioning there, when we are in those destinations, we have a number of different shore excursions that can really enhance that experience into the immersion. So Granted, we have our standard excursions, which, you know, are of a high quality. They're kind of like walking tours or visits into the destination themselves. However, we've actually created a number of new different types of shore excursions where we're trying to really get a pulse and the heartbeat of the destination that we're going into. So one of them is what we call Go Local, where there's small groups, usually around about 10 or 12 guests. We'll take them off and we go into either a local's house or farm, see how they live, see kind of the industry that is of that local destination. Again, to kind of get a feel for that destination over and above kind of just, you know, the standard types of tours.
Right.
We also appeal to like a lot of professionals or ex-professionals in that we've developed a short excursion called Beyond Blueprints, which kind of has an emphasis on design and engineering. It's, for example, if we're in the south of France, we have a tour that will go off to Toulouse, which actually visits the Airbus factory, so that you get to see how they're creating all these amazing aircraft in that destination. So, you know, kind of a little bit more of a technical interest, but we found that those tours have been very, very popular, just kind of due to some of the demographic of the guests that we have on board, that they really tend to find a great interest in those. So it's not just about studying architecture the whole time with those types of tours. There is that kind of engineering element of it as well. So we've been finding those have been very, very popular and kind of been booking up very, very quickly.
That's great. Yeah. And the money then goes back into the local community.
Exactly.
And that's great. I love that part of it too. And learning more about, like I said, like the hands-on and learning more about the factories. That's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's great.
And yes, I've heard as well that you're going to have the chance as well to potentially be on a sailing with us next year too.
I am. Yeah, next July. It's a Norway cruise, and I'm hoping that I can have some people come along with me. So if any of you guys are interested, we're going to talk about this cruise, but make sure you reach out to me. info@plentyofsunshinetravel.com. But yeah, it's a Norway cruise and it goes just above the Arctic Circle, and I'm super excited about that. That's a bucket list I have to do at some point, and I'm so happy that I'll be able to do it next summer.
Well, just to kind of give a taste of that, I've actually, if you can believe that, one of, as the saying goes, one I've prepared earlier here. So here's the exact itinerary here for next July and on the Marina, which that ship, as I mentioned, it will actually be completely renovated by this point. So essentially, it'll almost feel like a brand new ship unto itself, because I believe it's just getting renovated maybe like 1 or 2 months prior to you boarding this vessel. So yeah, you've got the fantastic opportunity to leave out of Copenhagen. Personally, you know, I've had the opportunity to be in Copenhagen myself. We've actually recently introduced as well a waiving of fees up to 3 days prior to entering. So if you do want to spend a couple extra days or 3 extra days in Copenhagen, it's a beautiful, beautiful town. You know, definitely worthwhile maybe spending a day or 2 extra in there. Normally what we tend to do is we do include all our airfare with the pricing. If you did want to extend by a day or 2, we usually had a fee associated with that. But currently we've actually had such demand that we've decided to waive those fees currently. So
I love that.
if you want to book in those few extra days in Copenhagen, or even if you want to spend a couple of extra days in Tromso, and then I believe there's a train that can take you all the way from Tromso to Oslo, I believe. That, you know, you see all the, you know, you see the spectacular fjords, which you know, are so synonymous with Norway, that there's some availability there potentially.
And I mean, you're there, so why not immerse yourself more into the area and just check it out a little bit longer? Absolutely. I love that idea. I'll have to look into that train. That's super. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you're getting some great towns in there as well. I mean, Oslo, capital of Norway itself, again, just, you know, one of the places that is always synonymous with, the happiness index and, best, one of the best places to live in the world. I know Bergen as well. My wife and I have been lucky enough to be in there, and it's just a fantastic, fishing market town, and
Okay, yeah.
again, immersing you into that local destination too. So it's, it's just a fantastic itinerary.
And Bergen is a fairly large city, is it?
Yeah, it's a beautiful fishing town. So yeah, enough again, it's big enough where there's that we get to visit in with our. I mean, the Marina is our largest vessel at 1,250 passengers. Comparatively to some of the other ships out there, it's a very small vessel.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bergen's a great fishing village or fishing town essentially that will definitely leave some lasting memories for you in that place itself. And then, yeah, I mean, the time of year that you're going, you're almost going to be chasing the midnight sun as well when you get all the way up to the North Cape. Yeah. You go all the way up into the Arctic Circle there and just experience the wilds and the wildlife and the fantastic serenity of the destination itself. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
And I was wanting to share a little bit of the fuel for the ship itself. So, I mean, this is our Oceania class. So we have the Marina and the Riviera in here. As you can see, 1,250 passengers. We have a real 1.5 to 1 guest crew ratio. So we have roughly around about 800 crew on for the 1,250 guests. So it's a fantastic level of service that you're going to have on board that vessel. One of the great things with the Marina and the Riviera, it includes all our specialty restaurants on board for you as well. You simply just require a reservation to dine at one of those specialty restaurants. My favorite specialty restaurant, or two of them actually, we have Jacques, which is inspired by Jacques Pepin himself. He's our executive head chef and has been with Oceania since the very beginning. So he has his own French restaurant in there. So going back to my French roots, there's some absolutely fantastic French cuisine that you're going to experience in Jacques, and probably one of the best cheese boards I've ever seen as well. So that's my tip. We also have red ginger, which is our Asian fusion cuisine. So there's some real fantastic, authentic tastes of Asia and in that restaurant itself. And really, if you do have the chance to dine there, my recommendation would be going for the crispy duck and watermelon salad. It's an absolute favorite of mine. And we've actually, as mentioned as well, we're going to be really renovating her more than ever before. So here's kind of a taste how those renovations are going to be looking. As mentioned, the Riviera has already undertaken that transformation. So, some really fantastic design elements with, this is one of our higher end suites, the Vista suite, giving you that fantastic home ambiance there,
Yeah, it looks just like a regular living room,
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
it's beautiful.
The funny thing here, you got your beautiful fireplace in there. Obviously, with fire regulations, you can't have a fire on board, but
you've got the mantle.
You can stand by the fireplace and sip a martini and feel like at home, right?
That's right.
Going through some of the different ones, we've got our Oceania suites here, which again provide some fantastic space available to you as a guest, feeling just give you those comfort levels as well. We have our penthouses, which are always forever popular. You've got that walk-in closet. We've just actually refit a number of those bathrooms to actually we used to have bathtubs in a lot of those, but we've created a full walk-in shower with the rainforest head to kind of really kind of pamper yourself and feel like you're almost in a spa in that bathroom. And then really, unlike a lot of ships being synonymous with kind of smaller bathrooms, this one really does give you kind of great square footage on board. And it even goes down to just our standard verandas and concierge verandas here as well. Again, one of the things that our design team were really kind of focusing on was design elements built around, kind of nautical themes. So you'll tend to find like colors that are very closely matching with the sea. So we've gone for like a lot of silvers and emeralds and kind of those grays that really kind of match in with the ship itself. So that's kind of where you would be staying essentially.
Yeah.
But very much we know that Oceania guests they're very much doers and love to learn. So on board, you'll tend to find have a lot of different types of activities. During the day, we usually tend to have what we call our enrichment series. So that includes like a lot of different lecturers on board, like, very kind of TED Talk style.
Yeah.
In terms of, a great kind of 45-minute presentation on learning. Personally, myself, I was in Alaska last year and we had a naturalist on board and she was talking about the wildlife that we had in Alaska. And it was actually great because they immersed that element into the cruise itself, where she actually was granted access up onto the bridge. And she was coordinating with the captain where whenever she was spotting whales with the inside passage there, she was able to announce that into the public areas so that if we were in like the Horizons Lounge, we'd be able to pick up our binoculars and spot the whales as
I love that.
going by the ship itself. So
yes.
yeah,
sounds like I was also in Alaska last summer and I was in the dining room and I looked out the window and I'm like, I just saw something jump. And I mean, who knows what it was because it wasn't announced, right? And it's just like, oh, that's beautiful. But it would be so great to have the naturalist who knows exactly by every little fin what it is and
exactly, yeah, so it really helped. And I mean, with Norway, I'm pretty sure it would be kind of similar type of experience.
Yeah.
We really try and match the entertainment to where you're going to be. Now, obviously, this is kind of the learning style. Again, we're Oceania guests are doers. So on board the marina, we also have our culinary center, which is always one of the super popular activities to do on board. It always books up as well. So here you can do like a cooking school. As the saying goes, you can cook Greek food anywhere in the world, but if you're cooking it in Greece, that's where kind of some of those elements will boil in. So when we're in Norway, no doubt we're going to be making some sort of Scandinavian style type cuisine for you to learn. And on board the marina as well, we actually one of the founding principles of Frank, and actually was mentioned in the speech yesterday, was that Frank actually selected a number of original artworks on board the marina. We actually have roughly around about $6 million worth of original artwork on board. So that includes Picasso's and Dali's and, again, kind of going into that element where, we don't all have Picasso's at home, but I know a lot of our guests have that interest and because of that, we have our artist's loft on board and we have a resident artist in place. So I'm no doubt, I'm pretty sure they're going to be doing classes to do with landscapes and some of those beautiful sceneries that you'll be seeing on board.
And it's great to bring it back on board, right? And you get to take that home with you.
Exactly. They're fantastic. They have a great sense of connecting with their guests. Just to inspire. I was lucky enough to be on with my daughter, who's like a budding artist herself, and they even took the time out to spend some time with a 6-year-old to see how her painting was going. So it's just a fantastic way to cruise. It's a relaxing way for you to get on board, and we're there really. Ships themselves these days, you've probably seen it yourself. They're getting bigger and bigger. There's more bells and whistles than ever before. For us, we know the destination is going to still drive you as a guest to that place, and that's what's really driving you to cruise. And really on board, it's for us to accommodate that desire for you to travel and for you to kind of, as mentioned, just relax and recharge whilst you're on board, and you're at it the next day to kind of create those memories about those fantastic destinations you're traveling into.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, so I mean that's pretty much her in a nutshell here. That's really what the Oceania Marina is all about. So yeah.
Well, I appreciate you putting that together. That's just fabulous. Thank you. Beautiful. And
Yeah,
I
I
love
just hope that maybe that is a little taste of just maybe some of the things you might be able to experience whilst on board.
Yeah, and I love how you said you're bringing, the colors of the ocean back into the rooms. You've got those silvers, those bright colors, and just those nurturing, soft.
Yeah, it's proven really, really popular.
Mhm.
We've encompassed that element going back into the Vista as well. And actually, as part of that as well, it's been an interesting journey for us at Oceania as well, in that it's actually starting to draw a slightly younger demographic towards Oceania as well. Generally, we've always been kind of in that demographic where it's usually 60 to 70-year-olds, but still very active and intrepid enough where they're still wanting to explore and shore and do their own thing. Whereas we've seen recently, with the Vista and with the redesign of the Riviera, it's not uncommon to have some younger families on board with us as well. Generally, we're not a cruise line for kids by any means. We do accept kids on board, and if you do ever see kids on board, it's just ever going to be a handful at most, really.
Yeah.
And especially like a northern Norway cruise as well. I probably don't expect you to even see any at all.
Probably not, no.
Probably not. But no, I was lucky enough to be over in the Mediterranean last year as well on board the Riviera. There was a great mix of ages on board, and definitely one of the things that we tend to find with Oceania guests is that there's always like a common interest shared, generally in regards to the itinerary itself. So even though you might be traveling individually, it feels that you're almost traveling within a big group, because there's always conversations getting sparked up everywhere. We have a lot of social areas on board where these conversations can kind of start, and really friendships as well. We generally find that, if somebody's traveling as a couple on their own, by the end of the cruise, there's maybe 2 or 3 other couples that they've connected with where they're now going to plan their next cruise all together. So it's great in that sense.
I love that. That's so great, because it's so like-minded people, right?
Very
Because
much
you're all
so.
going to the same destination. It's what you enjoy, it's what you like, and why not go together? Yeah, I love
Yeah,
it.
very much. It's that common interest that drives a lot of our guests there. So yeah.
Amazing. That's great. Goodness, wonderful. Well, yes. Well, thank you so much for putting all it together. It's lovely to talk with you. I'm sure we could talk for hours and hours, but I greatly appreciate the time that you took out to talk to us today about that itinerary, Vista, and just Oceania as a whole.
Yeah, perfect. And if there's any other itineraries that anybody's interested in, Kathleen's here to assist you, and we'd love to welcome you on board at some point in the future.
Wonderful. Alrighty. Well, thank you, and have a great week, everybody. Goodbye.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for watching this week's Cruise Chat with Oceania. It was really, really neat to see some of the rooms, to look at that itinerary that I'm going on. I'm super excited to go now, and just to sit and talk about cruising and to learn more about the Vista. I loved it. I really, really enjoy meeting with Oceania, and I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Next week, I'm going to be meeting with MSC Cruises, and it's been bit since I've met with them, and I believe I've met with them one other time before, and I went and did a great grand overview last time with Patrick. This time I'm meeting with a wonderful person named Tammy, and I'm really looking forward to just discussing some itineraries and looking and see what they offer on their ships. So I just love that, and I thank you so much for joining along on this journey as we're doing it. And if you're listening to this on our Cruising the Waves podcast, or you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, whichever method you're doing. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. And hopefully you'll be able to cruise with me to Oceania, with Oceania Cruises to Norway. That just looked amazing, and I can't wait to do it. And I hope to have you guys join along. So make sure you reach out to me, info@plentyofsunshinetravel.com. Thank you. Bye, guys.